Well, again, what we're going to be doing today is fabricating a cast post and core pattern that fits both the root and a pre-existing crown. Now, when would such an occasion occur? Here is an example. Here's our patient. He has a removable partial denture that fits very nicely these units and these two units, which, as you can tell, are a little loose. And they're a little loose because they're no longer attached to this abutment, number 10, it already has a post and core, and number 11, which needed endodontics. There had originally been a bridge that extended from here all the way across, done about 30 years ago right here at Temple University. And it loosened up to the point where it needed to be removed, but it could be sectioned here. And we knew that we could do endodontics on number 11 and then fabricate a post and core that fits both the root structure and the crown. Now, why would we go to this trouble? Well, part of the reason is that it still fits very, very nicely on the margins, and it has unique design features. If we take a look at the palatal aspect of this, it actually has an equipoise attachment. And so we were able to fabricate a new removable partial that has the same components in it for this equipoise attachment. So if I were to take this and put this in position like so, you can see how intimately these are made and designed to fit together. So, what do? Well, the first thing we do is make certain that there are no undercuts in the actual root canal system, and we flatten the surface of this so that the core that will be made will be on a flat butt joint, and then we proceed to make the cast post pattern, not the post and core pattern, but the post pattern, in exactly the same fashion as has been described to you on a preceding video. That has already been done, and this is the pattern. And we have confirmed, in fact, that the pattern is, or should be, 11 millimeters long. And when I hold this so that the facial marker is up and measure the pattern, it is 11 millimeters long. And it fits right down to the base of the tooth structure and is very stable with no movement. Now, if I were going to make a regular post and core, the next step would be to remove the slightly open margins on the base of the core and then start to build up the core structure in a bead and flow technique as you've seen before. We would leave the sprue in place because this is a very handy little thing for attaching it to the sprue former. You don't need to worry about it wiggling off if it's part of that. I'm about to take this out and remove this stem this time because we have to be able to insert the crown right over it with this first lubricated and filled with Duralay so that we will create the shape of a core that is the exact shape of the original preparation. So that's what we're about to do. Okay, here we are reinserting the pattern. You'll notice that it does indeed, once again, go down all the way. What I've done to it is cut off the residual sprue, and I have cut off the edges of this spot that starts the basis of the core, just so that we'll get a fresh surface extending out to that edge. Now it's time to see how close the fit is. And there we are, seems to drop down all the way. So that was a good initial cut. And just for further confirmation that everything is the way it should be, we'll put in the partial. Close down, sir. Feel good? Yep. Okay, excellent. All right, then the next step I really should let you take this out. It fits so well. There we go. Okay, will be to lubricate the inside of this, fill it with Duralay, and put it in place. I've been reminded to tell you, as if you need any reminding, that all of the cement has been removed from this so that it's immaculately clean. Okie doke. Now, as a lubricant, I'm using Duralay lubricant. Duralay lubricant can be found in this box. This box is labeled Duralay. In this box you will find Duralay liquid, Duralay powder, this little dispenser for the liquid, and this tin of Vaseline that looks like they gave you a quarter that you can spend anywhere you want. But in reality, this is a special lubricant made for Duralay, and it is called Duralay lubricant. Okay, I will now take a little piece of cotton and find something sterile with which I can remove a little bit of the lubricant from this pot. Here we are, an unused mirror handle. There it is dispensed. And I'll try to get into view for the camera. And I am now lubricating the inside of the crown. Looks like I could use a little more. And there we are. Okay. The next bit of business will be to fill the crown with Duralay, and this is where the guessing game begins. I have to get just the right amount in so that it will create a preparation and not overdo it. If I have a little bit of marginal leakage that I can clean right off, that's fine, because I can then trim that subsequently after this is cast so that we ensure that we're seated fully. Now, a little larger brush, and I will bead and flow into the tip. As always, I'm using a camel's hair paintbrush because they come clean, especially when you swish them around in the liquid after you've used them so that they truly are clean. Now, can you see? Good. This ought to be enough. Not too much, not too little. Once again, we're following, as we often do in dentistry, the Goldilocks principle. It must be just right. As soon as the little shine of monomer evaporates, and I'm trying to help that along by fanning it, this will be put in place, as you see. Now we got a little bit of excess on the facial. Mirror, please. And a little bit more on the palatal. So I will take, just as if this were permanent cement, my Explorer, and run it around the palatal and remove that, and run it around the facial and remove that. And now I'm just putting a little bit more apical pressure. And remember, after we cement the post one cast, we'll be using disclosing medium to make certain that this seats all the way down on both of these preparations. Now I'm going to remove this. And there's our preparation. Now I'm going to take a good look at the crown and get rid of any other debris that's around the margins. And I see that we have a little bit of excess right here. That will come off nicely with a little bit of tweaking. Like so. And of course things distort, don't they? So we have to go back down again. And we'll be taking this off and on and off and on until the time when we feel it's necessary to remove the post and prep. There's a term for you. It's not a post and core, it's a post and prep. See, it's still kind of rubbery. But I just noticed that it moved up and down ever so slightly, which is an excellent sign. Close down for me, sir. Feel good? Okay, open. That just is a positive confirmation that, as far as we can both tell, it's fully seated. Starting to lift this up and down. We don't want to distort it, so I'll put this right back in so that it reclaims any. A little too soon to try to take it out. I'm just making sure that it lifts. Now it's starting to come with it. And there we are, and it is firmed up. So here we have the pattern, and the pattern fits the tooth, and the pattern fits the crown, and we are now ready to cast it. Now the placement of the sprue is critical. The sprue will be placed back here on the lingual so that it does not distort the incisal edge. It will be easier to remove that way and still conform then to the internal shape of the crown. So, until we see the pattern cast in metal, thank you very much. Here's our cast post and preparation pattern. Please note that it was sprued in the middle of the lingual fossa, not on the incisal edge. This will help in adjusting the coronal form in its fit to the pre-existing crown. We'll now proceed to remove the sprue, fit the post to the root, fit the preparation to the pre-existing crown, and then be back to show you how all the components fit together. First thing I'd like to show you is how the units fit without the post and preparation in place. And there we are. You'll notice that we see a little bit of the collar on the lateral, none whatsoever on the canine. And as we insert the part, you'll notice that that profile is exactly the same. Well, here we are, back of the mouth, with tooth numbers 10, with its pre-existing post and core, which is, what did we figure, 29 years old? Something like that.
29 and 30, I thought it was 30.
It could have been 30. We've known each other a long time. We started a temple together back in 1978. At any rate, here we then place the post and core, which fits in position, and then we place on top of that the 2-unit splint, which is stable, and then on top of that would go the partial denture, like so. Close down all the way, open wide. And how does everything feel?
Same.
Feels the same. Okay, now our task is to have everything feel the same after permanent cementation. This is not a tape on permanent cementation, so we'll rejoin you after all of the parts are cemented. Okay, we have now completed the fitting of the post and preparation to the root and to the crown. And here I'm going to show you how all the parts assemble. Well, we have to assume, of course, that this is now nicely in the root of the tooth. And here we have the pre-existing crown. And we can see that, in fact, the post and preparation fits very nicely into the pre-existing crown. Now, what makes this most intriguing is when we place this in the mouth, not only does it fit the tooth that has the post and core, but it also fits its neighbor. We have teeth numbers 10 and 11 here. But just to further complicate the issue one more step, you'll notice that there is a milled equipoise attachment on the palatal surface of the canine, and into that fits the corresponding member of the partial denture in this fashion, like so. So here we have the dry fit, just so that you can visualize a little bit more easily exactly what we're talking about. Now, I'm also going to be showing you 3 radiographs. One radiograph is of this 2-unit splint in position without the post and core in place, to show you what the proper fit looks like radiographically of these 2 units. The next radiograph illustrates the fit of the post and core in the root, just as a post and core, of course, for our purposes, it's a post and prep. And then the final radiograph shows you all the components placed together as the final restoration. Alrighty then, here we are following final cementation of the 2-unit splint, and I suppose we can tell by looking at this in the mirror that we're fully seated, but I'm sure as you look at the post-operative radiograph, that also confirms the fact that all the components are exactly where they need to be. The post and core is fully seated, as is the 2-unit splint on teeth numbers 10 and 11. And then the final aspect of this is how well does the partial fit. Mr. Davis, would you put your partial in, please? All right, all parts are in, closed down. How does it feel?
Good to me.
Very good. I think then we're all set. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we offer you this group photo for one very interesting reason. I first met Mr. Davis back in 1978, my first year of teaching at Temple. And at that time, Dr. Tarnoff could just as easily have been his student doctor because that was his last year here. So we offer you a long-term legacy of care and good feelings and good treatment over a 30-year period. Andrew, would you just join us for a second? And just to show you that we still have a continuum, Andrew is Mr. Davis's current student. So we all say thank you very much.